The job ad was simple enough. Receptionist needed. What it should have said was, paranormal investigator wanted, must be okay with ghosts. I found it on some local job site, a night audit position at the Blackwood Hotel. It's one of those old buildings downtown that tries to use a modern lobby to hide the fact that it's ancient, but you can feel the age deep in its bones. The pay was good, and the hours seemed perfect for a night owl like me. My first few weeks? Exactly as expected. Long, quiet hours, broken up by a late check-in or a call for extra towels. The hotel was this grand old dame built back in the 20s, and like any old building, it had its own language. The floors creaked, the elevator groaned, and the pipes would knock and sigh. I got used to it. The real silence, the deep, heavy kind, always hit around 2 a.m., and that's when I started noticing things. A flicker of movement in the corner of my eye, a shadow that seemed to stretch a little too far. I just told myself it was fatigue, my mind playing tricks on me in the lonely hours. But the hardest thing to shake was the feeling of being watched. You know that prickly sensation on the back of your neck? It would make me look up from my book, only to find the lobby totally empty. I'm a rational guy. I don't believe in ghosts. But the Blackwood Hotel? It had other plans. It was just waiting for me to get comfortable before showing me what was really going on. The moment things went from weird to terrifying didn't come with a crash or a scream. It started with a quiet little chime from the bell on the front desk. It was about 3:30 a.m. and there was a man standing in front of me. I hadn't heard the automatic doors open. He was wearing this heavy wool coat, something you'd see in an old black and white movie. His face was pale, expressionless. He stood completely still. It was unnatural. "I need a room," he said, his voice flat. Trying to keep my voice steady, I said, "No problem, sir. I'll just need to see some ID and a credit card." He slowly put a hand on the counter. His skin looked like old paper. "The name is Alistair Finch. My room should be ready." I typed the name into the system. Nothing. I told him I couldn't find a reservation. He didn't answer. He just turned, walked toward the elevators, and faded. It wasn't like a puff of smoke. It was like my eyes went out of focus for a second, and when I blinked, he was gone. I knew then my excuses were running out. After that night, everything got worse. The whispers on the draft began to sound like a man's voice. The shadows started taking the shape of a tall, thin man limping down the hall. Then the phone calls started. The phone would ring, showing the number for a room on the 4th floor, which was completely closed for renovations. I'd answer, and it was just static, or once, what sounded like a man sobbing. Guests started complaining, too. A woman called down, furious about a man arguing in the empty room above her. Another guest asked me who the man in the old-fashioned bellboy uniform was, saying he saw him vanish at the end of the hall. We haven't had bellboys in decades. Then he came back. 2 weeks later, the air got heavy and cold, and the smell of damp earth and stale cigar smoke filled the lobby. And just like that, Alistair Finch was there. "I'm here for my room," he rasped, his voice hollow, like rocks grinding together. He leaned forward, putting his hands flat on the counter. Where his fingers touched the wood, a thin layer of frost started to spread. This wasn't a prank. This was real. "Room 426, he rasped, his dead eyes boring right through me. "I was promised my room." I was completely paralyzed by a fear so total it felt like a physical weight. As he reached a hand toward me, I saw right through it. I could see my computer monitor and coffee cup, all visible through the ghostly transparency of his skin. That's what broke me. That's what did it. That's what finally broke me. I shoved my chair back so hard it slammed into the wall with a deafening crack. I scrambled into the back office, my hands shaking, fumbling with the lock. I threw the door shut just as I heard this faint, sorrowful sigh from the lobby, a sound that seemed to echo not just in the empty hall, but inside my own head. I just sank to the floor with my back pressed hard against the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. And I stayed there, just like that, until the first bit of morning light crept underneath the door frame. When the sun finally came up, I didn't even bother quitting. I just gathered my things, walked out into the safety of the sunrise, and never, ever looked back. To this day, I have no idea who Alistair Finch was, or what really happened to him in room 426. I've learned that some old buildings just have history. But some places are more like open wounds. They don't just have a past, they have regrets. And at the Blackwood Hotel, it feels like those regrets are still waiting to check in. So, what would you have done? Would you have tried to stick it out? Maybe for one more night? Or would you have run for the hills just like I did? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you've ever had an experience you just can't explain, especially while working the night shift, I would love to hear your story. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you do not miss what's coming next. Stay safe out there.